Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Welcome everyone to MMA Weekly with Austin and Chef Dan and the BX Sports Jai Network. I am Austin and my co-host Chef Dan. How you doing tonight, Chef Dan?
Salute to everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are here to break down a heavy weekend of MMA action. The ladies took over in the headlines, and I can say the headliners definitely delivered.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, how you doing, Austin?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Can't complain. Grateful to be here with you guys today or tonight rather, as it's nighttime. As we talk about what happened this past weekend, and we had a lot going on this past weekend. The ladies main event, all 3 nights of MMA action, and a lot of headlines, and a lot of attention from the main events. And before we break down this card, I do want to mention, I do want to mention that we are on podcast platforms like as an Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Reason FM, etc. So if you guys want, thank you everyone's listen to us through the podcast platforms, and thank you everyone's watching us on YouTube as well, where it'll be live during the show or afterwards. Just want to shout out to all you guys listening, watching us. We appreciate your support. And before, let me just. And now, I guess, like I said, you want to start with what happened, like in terms of like the Friday night Bellator show, then work chronological order in terms of what happened.
I mean, we have to, because I think the biggest note of controversy that happened in the MMA world is the fact that title was the title excuse me, sorry. The flyweight championship was it changed hands tonight. It changed hands Friday night, I believe. Liz Caramuch defeated Juliana Velasquez via elbows from the crucifix position, and there's no other way to start but that point, because I'm man. There's 2 ways to feel about the fight. First off, like, you get into this ended in the 4th round, I believe, right?
Yes, 4th round.
Okay. So the way I had the fight kind of set up, I believe that Caramuch had won 1 of the rounds, and to me, Velasquez had won 2 of the rounds. But it was kind of a toss-up. Really, the first round to me was really the toss-up. I gave Velasquez the 3rd round. I gave Caramuch the 2nd round. Because, I have to flip the order. Velasquez the 2nd round, Caramuch the 3rd round. Because what I noticed was Velasquez, she had a plan of attack in the 1st round. But then in the 1st and in the 2nd round. But then she kind of got away from it. And Liz Caramuch was starting to put on a lot more offense that I was comfortable a lot more offense than I think Juliana Velasquez's corner was comfortable with. And then you kind of get into that fourth quarter where Karamuch gets her into the crucifix, has her arm pinned down, one arm pinned down via the knee, the other arm pinned down via her body weight, and the other arm, and she is landing elbow strikes right to the head of Juliana Velasquez. And here's where it gets a little sketchy in that fourth round. By my account, by Velasquez's account, and even by Big John McCarthy's account, not a lot of those elbows landed on Juliana Velasquez. But what she didn't do herself any favors in, and what I thought was a huge disservice, is 20 seconds left in the round. I believe she started to settle into the crucifix because she knew there's 20 seconds left, and Liz Karamuch wasn't really catching her with the elbows, so she decided to settle into the crucifix. So now when she's settling in, and in the midst of that just the haywire of all those elbows, you have the referee Mike Beltran, who kind of maybe sees that while her settling could look like a knockout in his eyes in the fast pace of the motion, and so he ends the fight right there and gives the bout to Liz Karamuch. Do I agree with it? No. But I think this is grounds for a rematch.
I agree. It is grounds for a rematch.
For me, really, like the biggest disservice I think in all was the fact that she settled into the crucifix. She didn't try popping out or just doing any type of what do they call it? Any type of just burst motion, any type of just immediate motion to try and flip Karamuch off. That way she can signify to the ref that she is not gonna settle into this position. And no one wants to settle into a crucifix. Like, that's dangerous to me. I don't know why she, at 20 seconds in, it doesn't matter. Even if she's not landing a lot, she has the capability to land something to hurt you. You're in a vulnerable position. So I don't know. It was different. How do you say, Austin?
I don't. You think she was really selling to the crucifix? Because I didn't see that when I was watching it. I didn't see her selling. I saw her trying to get out, but Liz could, but she had a hard time. And that's just me personally. Now, maybe if we go back and watch the end of that fight, maybe you might have a point, but that's not what I saw personally. But with that being said, I thought Juliana was winning this fight, at least 2 rounds to 1, maybe 3 rounds. Consider 3 rounds to 0, possibly heading to the 4th round. And Liz was doing a lot better as the fight kept going on. It seemed like somewhere on the 3rd round, to start, Juliana's game plans, she went away from it basically, and that Liz was starting to catch her and implement her style of fights, and which was one thing that led to the 4th round, where she was able to take Juliana down and keep her down, then get in that crucifix position towards the end of that 4th round, and then of course the controversy comes up with the elbows, which a lot of them weren't landing at all. Like, it was like a few, but the few that did were not really damageful. Not damageful, but put on a lot of damage.
What I can agree with there is, like, there was one of the elbows that landed, but Juliana had propped her head up. So even when she, reared it back, there was only but so much distance Liz could go. So when she did land the elbow, most of the damage was nullified by Juliana's smart tactic to move her head up. But, like, what I mean, Austin, I don't mean she settled into the crucifix. But what I can say is, you remember, like, the only movement I saw her making was her head. I didn't see her try to prop the legs up to try and, at least get a bridge going to lift Karamuch off of her. Something along the lines, trying to roll around, something to just, like, not just be stationary.
I thought she did. I could have sworn she did that before. I could have sworn she was trying to do that. Maybe I missaw it. I thought she was, personally, but maybe you made a point about the using the legs to try to get Liz off her. But I could have sworn she was trying to do that, Juliana. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe if I go back and watch it, you might be correct on that issue. But yeah, I mean, even with Liz having the crucifix, she wasn't throwing a lot of elbow. I mean, she was throwing up, but they weren't landing. They weren't like damaged. They weren't vicious shots or hard shots at all. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the fight seemed more controversial. So look at Juliana's face after Mike Beltram stopped the fight. There's no visible damage in her face at all. And I mean, you would think that if she was getting beat up or if Liz was throwing, Liz was throwing hard elbows, you see damage in her face, but she looked somewhat fresh almost. Like she barely took any damage at all. Which, I mean, that visual to me made it worse to me, the rep stoppage from Mike Beltran.
I definitely agree with that. But the thing that happens now is, for me personally, I think what this does is it just lets me know that there's a rematch that has to be made. I don't think any other contender in the division, and that sucks because on Saturday night we also had a very good flyweight matchup that happened on the main card with Liz Caramuch in attendance to kind of see, and you saw someone come back really strong. But I mean, like, only thing this tells me is that there has to be a rematch.
I agree. It has to be a rematch considering what happened Saturday night. Definitely indicates there has to be a rematch with Juliana and Liz, considering how controversial the fight and the stoppage was, and how it's not exactly a contender that's super deserving of the next title fight. Also,
who would be more deserving than the champ in a controversial fight? The ex-champ in a controversial fight, knowing they have the rematch clause. Hey,
I agree. Definitely agree.
I mean, but
go ahead.
Yeah, from there, I want to, if you want to move on to the next fight that happened.
Yes, Enrique Barzola versus Nikita Mikhailov in the bantamweight wildcard round. Winner of this fight will enter into the bantamweight tournaments in the Bellator bantamweight tournaments. And Enrique Barzola won this fight pretty convincingly, 30-27, all three judges' scorecards. It's fight in the beginning. Nikita has moments. He caught Barzola with spinning back fist that didn't drop him, surprisingly, considering he landed that shot, and even a kick that Nikita threw that landed on Barzola. But all that didn't do much for Barzola's pressure. Just kept pressuring Nikita, kept pressuring him, and was able. And once he kept and he was able to take down Nikita in the first round. And I feel like that pressure kind of got to Mikhailov, where he couldn't handle the pressure, which led to him getting taken down easier, and also going backwards kind of got him a little bit tired. And Barzola was able to control Nikita for most of this fight. And I think the experience too of Barzola came to play, because Barzola, this was his 23rd fight, and I think Nikita Mikhailov, this was his 10th fight, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was his 10th fight. So I think 11 fights. And Barzola's like his 23rd or 24th, and I think the experience really came through and helped him out big time, especially since Barzola trains at the AKA with Javier Mendez, who was in his corner in that fight. And I think that and the pressure, the experience and pressuring Nikita definitely is what helped him win this fight, as he would pressure him, take him down, and control him. Even though there was a moment in the second round where Nikita did German suplex him towards the end of the second round, but Barzola got up and was able to reverse position and take him down 30 seconds after that. So it was like all for naught, and that can basically break a man's spirit, considering you German suplex someone to get right up and just take you down. But yeah, basically basically experience and pressure is what really helped Barzola out in this fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's nothing more I could really add to that. It was first round, like you said, back and forth, but then the last two rounds, Enrique Barzola definitely took over and showed the experience.
All right, as he moves on to the bantamweight tournament, as he takes on, I believe, Magomed Magomedov next in June 24th. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. So what you were gonna say?
that's his next fight. You know, he'll be fighting 2 months from now. He'll be fighting against Magomedov, which it definitely be a tough challenge for Barzola. But we shall see whether or not he's ready for that challenge or not.
I agree with you 100%. From there, we can move on to the next fight that happened on the main card. This was a highly sought after fight. We, a lot of people thought this was going to go back and forth, but it wasn't. Danny Sabatello versus Jornel Lugo. Danny Sabatello, the Italian gangster, wins this fight. Unanimous decision. I think all 3 judges scored it 30-26 because yeah, Danny Sabatello, man. This kid, it's a different animal, bro. Excuse me, sorry. I know Jedi has the picture here somewhere.
Damn it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Danny Sabatello, he essentially just took over the match from beginning to end as far as grappling, and just it was his fight. I never seen Jornel Lugo look that. I don't want to say the word. What's the term you wanted to say?
Get dominated or control like that?
Yeah, I've never seen him get controlled like that. I didn't want to say the other word I was thinking of, but he definitely got controlled completely. This was something I didn't think was going to happen to Jornel Lugo. I thought this was going to be more of a back and forth fight, but Danny Sabatello, man, just with the grappling, was able to take control from start to finish, and he got what he wanted. Whether it was he tried to go for the submissions, didn't get it there, but then he, switched over to ground and pound. That happens for a while, and then Jornel Lugo has to defend to that, so he goes right back into submissions. And it's just, the guy is just a different animal, man. What did you see from this fight?
A lot of things you said. I mean, Sabatello just controlled him top to bottom. I mean, from pillar to post, from beginning to end, and just Sabatello's the animal. I mean, once he took him down, I mean, Lugo had no answer for the grappling. He held him down at will. He threw a lot of elbows, especially in that first round. He threw several elbows in that fight to, while he was on top, definitely trying to finish Lugo. But good credit to Lugo for surviving that, and for surviving several submission attempts too from Sabatello. But that just kept working. Every time he'll take him down, he would try to go for elbows, throw some ground and pound, and maybe go for a submission. Especially in, I think, the third round, he went for a submission. And Lugo just had no answer at all for Sabatello. And it's considering Lugo was the more well-known fighter, he was ranked number 9, and he was someone that people were very high on in this division. Sabatello just came in, who was really compared to Lugo, was kind of unknown compared to Lugo, but he just went out there and made a name for himself and just dominated Lugo in the biggest fight of his career on the main card of a Bellator show, especially the chance to get into the bantamweight tournament when he delivered. And he dominated, and now he's moving on to fight Leonardo Higo in June 24th, the same card as Magomedov and Barzola.
Yeah, Sabatello's just gonna keep making a name for himself if he's gonna keep doing this and dropping as many F-bombs as he did in his post-fight interview. Because how many F-bombs did he drop? Like 5?
Yep.
I know. I know. Big John McCarthy was counting.
Yes, he was. I was counting too. It was 5. And Sabatello, full of confidence, very confident guy. He's from the Northeast. I don't know what part of America he's from. I know he's from the Northeast based on the way he talks. Italian gangster. I mean, I like that nickname. And and also he's very confident. Very confident. Not cocky, but believes in himself.
Believes in himself, yeah.
There was in the second round where he was on top of Lugo and he was waving the crowds, hyped them up while he was on top of Lugo, trying to throw some strikes. If you remember that part.
Yep.
Sabatello.
Called the crowd in while he was bleeding from the top of his eye. Called the crowd up, let him enjoy the work that he's putting in, and he just kept going. That guy is a monster, man. But congratulations to Sabatello. That was a hell of a performance on a guy in Jornel Lugo that no one in their minds thought that he was ever going to get dominated in this fashion.
No, that was shocking. And I hope Sabatello and Stouts fight each other next. I mean, well, not next, but hopefully they end up fighting each other because they're the same side of bracket, and both guys are very confident of themselves. And we'll talk about Rafael and Stouts later on. But I mean, I would love to see just the confidence and the trash talk between the two of them because I think that'll be entertaining, and I think it'll be a good fight too. They didn't make it to the semifinals, but obviously they gotta make it there first.
I mean, yeah, as long as they hold up their ends of the bargain, I'm pretty sure they'll meet each other and we'll have a fight on our hands. But with that being said, we can move on from that fight to the next fight on the main card. This is in the light heavyweight division. Grant Neal versus Christian Edwards. I don't have much to say about this one. Grant Neal was dominant in this fight. He got whatever he wanted in this fight. Christian Edwards was able... It didn't make sense to me. Christian Edwards was a longer fighter, so it felt that he should have maybe put up a better fight, but Grant Neal was able to consistently get inside. He got the strikes he wanted, got Christian Edwards down on the ground, got the grappling he wanted. It was a pretty dominant performance for Grant Neal. What did you see, Austin?
Same thing. It was very dominant for Grant Neal. He was just able to get inside and just control and dominate Christian Edwards for all the fight, 30-27, just like the previous two fights you mentioned. It was very dominant, one-sided, and just Christian Edwards couldn't put up a fight against Grant Neal. Grant Neal was able to dominate him, especially get inside and just Christian do whatever you want. Basically mostly what you want against Christian Edwards. So obviously I'm pretty sure you like to get it finished, but still, you get what I mean.
Yep. So yeah, that was the fight on the main card. We can move on to the next fight on the main card. Manny Muro versus Nate Andrews. Manny Muro wins this one via split decision. Oh man, this fight is kind of hazy to me. Do you remember how this fight went?
Fortunately, it's the same way. I think it's hazy for myself. I'm hazing myself with this fight.
Because honestly, I just want to I want to skip that and head right into the fight. I think to me, the best fight on the card that night, it was in the preliminaries. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to keep telling you, for free, on YouTube, for free, you can watch this stuff for free. Just click the Bellator icon. For free. For free. Dante Skiro versus Scotty Howe. I thought this was the best fight of the card. Did you see this fight, Austin?
I did not, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh. It's still on YouTube, Austin. You can have a chance.
For free.
For free. Second fight of the card. Dante Skiro put on a hell of a performance. And it wasn't anything short of Scotty Howe. Scotty Howe was he was a great fighter too. It's just that Dante Skiro was like, I don't know how else to say it. He just showed so many different levels, always a step ahead on everything Scotty Howe wanted to do. If it was a striking game, he had it. If it was a ground game, he had it. In the clinch work, he had it. And then he was able to finish the fight via round 3 via ground and pound. Dante Skiro to me is, I'm watching him. I'm watching him. That's the name I'm watching. Austin, that's a guy you got to watch out for. He's going to be on the rise in the Bellator.
Okay. Dante Skiro, definitely. I'll definitely say I'll watch it since it's free.
For free.
Yep. Anything else you want to mention the prelims before we move on?
No, that was it. To me, that was the best fight of the card. Just that Dante Skiro versus Scotty Howe fight, and the composure. It was a professionalism that Dante Skiro held himself with, and it, like I said, it's not a lack of what Scotty Howe did. It's just when you see a guy that's literally every time a guy presents something, the other guy has the next step forward to just, counteract it. What you have, I got another counter to that. What you have, I got another counter to that. You got a counter, I got a counter to your counter, and so forth and so on. I was just so impressed. Salute to Dante Scaro.
Definitely. And well, that concludes our coverage of the Bellator 278 that occurred Friday night in Honolulu, Hawaii. As we move on to the UFC also had a show this past weekend. Yeah, at the UFC Fight Night at the Apex, in the main event between Jessica Andrade and Amanda Lemos in the strawweight division, as Andrade goes back down to strawweight where she was the former champion. Against Amanda Lemos, a woman who was on top 10, who was on a 5-fight winning streak. And this fight, Jessica Andrade wins via standing arm triangle in the first round. Andrade, I believe, I think the first UFC fighter, period, not just woman, but UFC fighter to win via arm triangle. Standing via arm triangle. Am I correct in that?
I think so. I'd have to check some of the record books. Give me one moment.
I heard basically, and while Dan looks at that, I'm gonna break down. Lemos did good early on, like in terms of stand up, like some of the kicks she was landing. She was landing several leg kicks and even some kicks up the middle that partly landed on Andrade in this fight. She was doing solid to the stand up and giving Andrade some problems, but once Andrade was able to get inside, get in the clinch with her, it was basically the beginning to the end for Lemos, because Andrade, she is short, but she's strong. I mean, if you know anything about Andrade, watching her fight, she's a strong woman for a short, stocky. She's short and stocky, but she got a lot of power and punches in her body overall. She's strong woman, and she was able to get that arm triangle, and I think it's because her arms aren't as long. It's easier for her to like throw like a squeeze an arm triangle versus if she had longer arms, where it might be harder, it might be easier for people to maneuver in terms of submission like that. I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's how it usually works. And once she got the position, and then she made adjustment to make it tighter, switched. I think she switched position, but like with her hands. And once she did that, it was good night Irene for Lemos. You could see her face that she knew she was in trouble. Especially you look at the still pictures of that fight, you see Lemos like panicking basically because she knew she messed up and now she's in big trouble. As you see the picture, see the picture right here. I mean, whoever took that picture, I mean, shout out to them, that photographer, because that's a great picture.
Hey, look, either that's a photographer or a drone. I'm gonna tell you right now, because if I'm a fighter and I'm getting choked out and I see a photographer in there, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Austin, I'm gonna have a lot more questions.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. Although that's not the most embarrassing thing to happen to a fighter, this fight card, which we'll talk about later on. Yeah, exactly. But we'll get there when we get there. But great victory for Andrade. I mean, I'm surprised she went down weight considering she was doing all right at 125. Well, that makes sense considering she's not big 120. She's not big at 125. She's kind of short, and also she was the champion at strawweight, so it makes sense. And now we got potential. We got another contender in this deep strawweight division, especially which is very good considering it's always nice to have a bunch of contenders. And strawweight division has another one, considering this is the best division in women's MMA in my opinion. What are your thoughts of this fight, Dan?
I was surprised. I was in shock because Jessica Andrade did not come out her usual way. It was surprising to me. She usually comes out with a burst of fire, confident in her power. It's like, hey, we could enter a slugfest. I'm with that. I'm with throwing the leather. But she wasn't. It was like she was very composed, and she was darting in and out in a sort of Kyoji Horiguchi kind of way, just in and out of distance, some leg strikes here and there, throwing here and there, but then in and out of distance. It was an approach so calculative. I'm asking, like, what's happening here? Like, does she have like is there something going on here where like she has an idea of what she wants to do / like she's kind of respecting Lemos's power. And little did I know, instantly, you know, you're watching the fight and you're going, what's gonna happen here? Like, you know something's gonna happen, but you don't know when. It's boom, 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 boom. You just hear, you hear her going, you see her going into Lemos. It's like, whoa, 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 and then whoa, whoa, got it. And you're like, whoa. And then you see her squeezing, and the only thing you can hope, because it's when you're in the standing, when you're in any kind of a submission, when you see fighters in a submission and they're in the standing version of the submission, what you would hope for is that they don't gas their arms to the point where, you know, they're, you know, they can't continue to fight at their best, you know, at their best, at their peak performance wise. But she had it cinched in. She was confident. And I think she heard DC tell her to, like, you know, maybe she's too short. Maybe she needs to bring Lemos down. And that made her just, like, you know, get belly to belly with Lemos and go on her tippy toes and say, I'm not bringing you down. I'm going to get at your height and I'm going to really cinch this in. Because, you know, Austin, you and I both know, these fighters now, they're starting to hear the commentators. So now it's one thing for, you know, for you to hear your corner, but then when a commentator who's a neutral voice is just seeing something and just goes, this is man, this, like, they have a neutral voice and they go, this is how I feel this should be going. This is, you know, this approach maybe they could be doing something else. You're like, yo, and you see them try it out and the fight goes into a different, you know, direction. It's impressive. All in all, it was shocking and impressive because I didn't expect to see that happen.
Yeah, man, I did not see. I thought Andrade would maybe go in earlier, but also but she was more patient, but once she went in and getting clinch, I mean, it was basically beginning to end for Lemos in this fight. And you're right about fighters here in commentary, especially when they're fighting Apex, where it's a lot more quieter versus Arena, you know, where it's thousands of people, where it's sometimes it's hard to hear your coaches sometimes. Fighting in the Apex, fighters are hearing the commentary more and more and making adjustments. That's becoming really, you know, the commentators are basically being unintentional cornermen of fighters sometimes by revealing, like, what fighters are doing. Fighters are noticing, taking advantage of that. That's a very good point there, Dan.
Most definitely. It was just surprising to see that, you know, Jessica Andrade, you know, patient, and the burst came in and she got it done. But salute to Jessica Andrade, because I need to see where she ends up on the ranking in the strawweight division, because it's gonna be surprising.
Yeah, she's probably top 10 for sure. Maybe close to top 5, considering he was a former champ and was number 1 flyweight.
But Lemos was number 7.
She was 7?
Well, she has to be.
I thought she was 10.
Give me one moment. Let me double check to make sure. I remember last time I saw Lemos was 7, but let me make sure.
Okay. I mean, Andrade's got options. She can go back to flyweight and fight there if she wants, or go down.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Lemos is 10.
Okay.
I would at that point that puts Andrade at least at number 9.
Yeah, close to top 5, considering she's a former champion. She's thinks that 3rd victory or 2nd victory in a row or some. I believe 2nd victory in a row, and then was number 1 at flyweight. So yeah, she's got options. She can go back to flyweight, fight probably a more contender fight there if she wants to, or go strawweight where she was champion. Fight, you know, maybe win another fight there. Possibly fight the winner of, well, I don't know. Maybe fight the winner of Rose and Carla, especially if Rose wins. You can set up a trilogy fight potentially. Maybe, it depends. I know there's a lot of people in strawweight who are very close to title shots in that weight class too.
There's plenty of people. There's a whole lot of people that are in contention right now. But at the same time, I think with strawweight, I think it'd be better for her to go back to strawweight because, it's better for her to go back to strawweight because in flyweight there needs to be a new parity. Valentina is starting to lap the division, so there needs they're trying to get in some new parity for her. Versus Rose, even though she's been champion before, she hasn't. No, I don't think anyone so far in that division has had a dominant run yet. So we need to see someone.
No, it's Joanna. Joanna's the only one. You only J-check.
You're absolutely right about that. Joanna's the only person, and Joanna has a chance that if she beats Zhang Weili, that she could be the next fighter up, because that fight supposedly for 3 rounds.
Yeah. And especially if Carla somehow were to win. I mean, since she has a victory over Carla, remember she beat Carla to win the strawweight title.
Yep.
So that possibly, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think if for Jessica Andrade, if she just wins one more fight, like maybe fights Maria Rodriguez or Mackenzie Dern beats them, and Rose, especially if Rose is champion, or even Carla, I mean, it'd be hard to deny Andrade another title fight, especially against Rose, where they're 1-1 against each other, considering she knocked out Rose to win the title.
I'm gonna say it like this. I'm looking at the division, top of the division right now. Only Rose, Zhang Weili, and Carla Esparza could make up enough of an excuse to deny Andrade a fight. To me personally, after that, everyone else down the list can't deny her a fight.
I agree. Good point.
Marina can't deny her. Mackenzie can't deny her. Yan definitely can't deny her. Nina Ansarov can't deny her. Tisha Torres can't deny her. Ribas or Michelle Waterson. None of those girls can deny her. Now, the top 3, yeah, they have some business with each other. After that, nope.
No, I agree. Good point. Well, I can see what's next for Andrade. Definitely look forward. She's a very entertaining fighter. I give Andrade usually brings it. There's not too many boring Andrade fights that I can think of.
You're absolutely right. Jessica Andrade is always good. She is to a point where she's a mainstay main event. She can guarantee you a main. She's a main event, co-main event. That's the lowest she falls on the card. And anything else, you'd have to give me a valid reason. Like, there'd have to be 2 other title matches on the card for her to fall lower than main or co-main event. And one of her fight itself would have to not be part of the title match. But you're absolutely right. She's a very, very, very exciting fighter.
Yeah, I look forward to what's next for her. Definitely look forward to that. And I guess we can move on to the co-main event then.
Oh,
in
yeah.
In the co-main event,
attack this card.
Yep, the co-main event was between Claudio Puelles and Clay Guida, and Claudio Puelles wins via first round submission, knee bar in the first round, 3 minutes 1 second. And this was unexpected too. I mean, this knee bar from Claudio. Clay Guida, I forgot how they got to the ground. But Clay Guida, was on top for most of it. But Claudio kept going for submissions, and there were times where he was close to getting an arm bar. But if it wasn't there, it looked like he was trying to get a triangle, but he kept working for different submissions. And Clay Guida has a good jiu-jitsu background. I think you see this competing in BJJ tournaments. But Claudio Puelles just kept attacking, and the transition to the knee bar was just out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere. I forgot what they're in different position, and Clay was getting up, and all of a sudden Claudio just switches and just grabs the knee bar out of nowhere, and just once he gets it on, Clay has to tap, or else he's gonna get tore up. He's gonna tear his ligaments of his knee, and especially if you're older, that may be the end of his career if that happens. Considering Clay's 40, I mean, what a great victory for Claudio. I mean, out of nowhere knee bar, and just very impressive. I mean, that was just, I was like, oh damn, I didn't see that coming. That caught my attention. I mean, what are your thoughts on this fight, Dan?
It just happened so fast. It just happened so fast. It just happened so fast. I don't know what else you want me to say. It was just happened so fast. I don't, like you said, same thing you said, because I had to watch the replay to see how they even got to the ground. And to this day, I watched it twice, and I still don't know. I still don't remember how they got to the ground. I just know that they got on the ground. They were tussling back and forth, and out of nowhere, Claudio pulls out the knee bar, and that's it. Like, it's... He got it.
He just, I mean, it's surprising. I mean, he just did. It was impressive. It's all. I mean, it was impressive. I mean, just the way he just did it. I mean, he just got him and then made him tap. I mean, that's just like, whoa. I mean, man, the fact he did that, it's just damn. I mean, it shows the Claudio's pretty good on the ground, especially considering. I think he's had several submission victories before, but this one was out of nowhere too. Especially in a co-main event of a fight night. I mean, this was definitely his most impressive victory of his career by far. Especially being a name, Clay Guida, who's been around for a while, fought for the lightweight title back in the day. I mean, shout out to Claudio Puelles. I mean, great victory for him.
It was a fast-paced victory. Deservedly so. He earned every bit of it, man.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah, he's... I don't know. I believe he made. Did he get a performance of the night bonus?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Give me one moment. I'm checking right now. Yeah.
I'm glad he deserved it. I mean, that
he deserved it.
Yeah. I love Andrade. Andrade deserved one too. Considering
oh yeah, she definitely got one too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one of yeah.
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 So
Clay. Yeah, Clay. This is his 5th victory in a row for Claudio, not Clay. Claudio. Excuse me. So good for him. 5 in a row. Maybe he's close to finding someone ranked in the lightweight division potentially. We'll see what's next for him.
And this guy is a specimen, man. We gotta be on the lookout for Claudio Puelles. Like, that's because you don't just pull out E-bars like that.
Yeah, I agree. We go on to the third fight of the card, which was in the women's flyweight division between Macy Barber and Montana De La Rosa. And Macy Barber wins this fight 30-27 on 3 judges scorecards. This fight, Macy Barber got off to a good start, which is something that was not typical for her in her recent fights, where she got off to bad starts and then third round turned up, but it was too late. This was different. She got off to a good start. She went for a clinch. She went for a lot of grappling, a lot of clinching in this fight, which is surprising considering Montana De La Rosa has I believe 6 or 8 of her victories for submission. So she was going right in De La Rosa's wheelhouse, but she did well. She was able to take her down a couple of times, do dirty boxing, and even hurt her in the first round with a left hook. Not an elbow, it was left hook that hurt De La Rosa, and was able to do dirty boxing to hurt her, take her down at times, and win this fight pretty convincingly. And with a lot of grappling, very good fight for her, a good performance for Macy Barber. What are your thoughts on this fight?
I'm not even gonna lie. Can I tell you something? I had a bit of a bias.
Okay.
I had a bit of a bias. I remembered the last Macy Barber fight, so I really wasn't interested in this fight, and I did watch it. I paid attention. I mean, Macy Barber definitely came out with a bit of a faster pace. Everything we were asking for as fans from Macy Barber. She came out with the faster pace, was definitely more aggressive, slowed down in the second round because you can't keep that pace up all the way. But then in the third round, she was able to pick it right back up and got what she wanted, mostly because she was able to tire out her opponent, De La Rosa, in the first round. She got a lot of damage done in the first round. That way, when it came time for De La Rosa to try and get hers back in the second round, the only thing she could do really was hold on to Macy Barber in those times of clinch and grappling and not really initiate anything like that. Macy Barber won this handedly. Congratulations to her. I don't know why, but it didn't do much for me.
Yeah, I understand, and good, because it was a good victory for her. She needed this victory. She didn't have a great performance in a while. In her last fight, like I said, me and you both agree. We believe she did not deserve to win that fight against Miranda Maverick. But either way, it was a good victory for her to have. get her on the right track. And because before the Roxy Marifarin loss, she had won 3 in a row and via TKO. She looked like a woman on the rise who would be a future contender in the division, but then had some hiccups and bump in the roads. But she got an impressive victory. Maybe this is the start of her going back to climb up the rankings. We shall see, obviously. A good victory for her. We can move on. I guess we can move on to the next fight in the card if you want to do that.
Yeah, if you want to, we more so can do that. It's like I said, I'm maybe because I have a bias, but this fight wasn't it didn't grab my attention as much as I would have wanted it to.
Okay, and we move on to the next fight in the card, which was in the featherweight division between Charles Jourdain and Leno Venata, and Charles Jourdain wins this fight via first round submission, guillotine in the first round, and how we got here is that Jourdain dropped Venata with a straight right or left. I think it was right.
It had to have been a right. It had to have been a right.
A straight right drops Venata, and then immediately goes for the guillotine, and Bernardo at first was a decent job, but he wasn't really fighting the hands, and then he was early on, but then Jourdain had a one-arm guillotine that was tight, but Bernardo wasn't exactly fighting the hands that much, and then he was able to clinch it, basically sink it in instead of one arm, typical two-arm guillotine, and then once he did it, even when it was a one-arm guillotine, Bernardo's his head was turning like red and purplish. You can see, watch that fight. And then once he got sinking in with both arms, Bernardo had a tap, and he did. But unfortunately, Bernardo was, it was tough loss in the first round. But unfortunately, it also was kind of embarrassing considering his shorts kind of fell off in the middle of the exchange. And that's what we're saying earlier in terms of embarrassing. It was more embarrassing to me than the picture of Lemos when she was getting choked out.
Really? Oh man, that's crazy. I thought we were going to talk about something else that was quite embarrassing to me, but that's later on in a different context. But yeah, like you said, that was a bit embarrassing. But I mean, Charles Jourdain we've known this for a while now. This guy has been putting people away in the preliminaries, been putting up great fights in the preliminaries. So for him to do this in the in the main card against a guy like this, it didn't surprise me because like I said, man, Charles Jourdain is that guy. I talked about it last week. Every time he's on the card, I'm excited to see a Charles Air Jourdain performance. Because win, lose, or draw, this guy puts on a performance that just he's good. He's gonna keep climbing up in the rankings, putting on great performances, and I promise sooner or later he will be fighting for a title. Because he's one of those guys where he's so well rounded, he mixes the martial arts so well. There's nothing you can take away from him.
He did a very good job, and you see the performance bonuses here as on the screen if you're watching this on video. Claudio Puelles and Andrade both got performance bonuses, and excuse me, sorry for that burp. And Friday night went to Grant and Condazco, excuse me, Sergey Condazzo in the prelims. So I mean, those are the performance winners, the bonus winners rather. But yeah, great performance by Charles Jourdain. First, submit. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was an excellent performance, man. Excellent performance.
Excellent performance, and I feel bad for Leno Venata though. I kind of feel bad. His shorts fell down while he was getting submitted. That's just. Thank God he was wearing underwear.
Hey. Thank God, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, from there we can move on from that fight to the first fight on the main card. Mark Andrew Barrault versus Jordan Wright. This ends in the first round. Mark Andrew Barrault wins this via mounted guillotine. This happened very, very quickly as well. This was very, very quick. Austin, you break this down to me. You break this down.
I see, like Jordan Wright was trying so hard to get a takedown. He was trying really hard, which if you're trying that hard to get a takedown, that's a bad strategy because if you do get it, you're gonna tire yourself out. Essentially, if you tire yourself out and it goes later on, you can be in world trouble, easy to get finished. But it seemed like he was very desperate to get a takedown, and Marc Andre wait, how you say his last name again? Barreau. Barreau or Boret. But no, Barreau. Okay. He's French Canadian. I know that. I forgot to say the French pronunciation. Barreau was able to get a guillotine, but a lot, because Jordan Wright kept going for takedowns, but Jordan Wright kind of made a mistake by putting his head in position to get guillotined twice. Like the first time he went for a double leg, his head was towards Bordeaux's right side, his left side, and there was a guillotine. And Barreau had a guillotine on, but I guess Jordan Wright's able to escape. And then he went for a single leg, but left himself open for being guillotined again. And Barreau was able to guillotine him through his left arm. And once he got in that guillotine, Jordan Wright had no choice but to tap. Good victory for Barreau, but also Jordan Wright gotta be careful where he puts his head when he's going for takedowns because he let himself wide open for being guillotined twice, and it cost him. Usually, when wrestlers do it, they're very careful of avoiding like guillotines or put the heads in certain angles to where even if someone goes for a guillotine, they're not going to get it. And Jordan Wright did not do that in this fight.
But they also drive themselves. Like you notice DC loves talking about this stuff. He goes, if you're gonna drive in with the shot and your head is in that direction, you better drive them into an L direction too. You gotta change angles. Give yourself give yourself the ability to change angles. Like, give it suddenly. That way they're not just going in one direction. Their body is going to get used to going in one direction, and they're going to slowly but surely stabilize themselves. But if you cut them off at an angle, drive it into an L angle, at the sharp right turn, whichever direction you go, you're going to get them down on the ground. Their body is going to naturally tell them, instead of holding on to your neck, I got to get my whereabouts of myself. So now their arms are going to let go of your neck, and they're going to be more so trying to see where they're at on the ground, things of that nature. I'm not a world-class wrestler. I'm just repeating what DC says on the commentary. Is when you're driving in with the shot like that, give them a different angle.
Yeah, that's a good point when you think about it. When you really think about what DC said, that makes sense. But even if you're not a world-class wrestler, you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you should. And Jordan Wright did not do that, and that cost him big time in this fight. As Marc-Andre Barrett was able to pull a guillotine and choke him out.
DC says.
Yes.
That's the new guy. You know what? We gotta make a new segment in the show. DC says.
DC says yes. I mean, shout out to Daniel Cormier. I mean, shout him out. Great fighter, and turned out to be a very good. Turned out to be pretty good. Color commentator for the most part. Although there are times I have my issues with him, but generally he's good for the most part. Shout out to the legend.
I love it when DC is commentating. It's to a point now I don't even watch other sports like that, other combat sports like that. It's really MMA and boxing for me. But when I was channel surfing one time, and I go to NCAA wrestling, March Madness. You know who's on commentary?
Cormier.
I had to sit there and listen. I don't know a lick spit about wrestling, the collegiate style wrestling. I don't know about how to get their pins and this, that. It all don't make sense to me, not one bit. But I'm listening to DC, and DC is going. He's breaking down game, letting us know everything that needs to be going on. So I'm like, hey, I gotta listen to what DC says.
Yeah.
Because DC said.
DC says that might be in this segment, but shout out to Cormier though. That was the main card of UFC Vegas 52. Lemos and Andrade, and you said something about Bear scene earlier that it was something else. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, we can get right into it, man. First off, before we like you said, Dwight Grant versus Sergey Kondosco. congratulations to those guys in the preliminaries, because they were, they very, very good fight from both of them. I can't even, the words escape me to describe how good of a fight this was. Both of them are so incomplete as prospects. You see that there's room to grow for both of these guys. But what they had, they threw it like it didn't. It's like, hey, whatever, man. Whatever I gotta do, I gotta let everything go. It is what it is, bro. I gotta get this win. I gotta get it any way possible that I can. I need this win. And that's what both of them came into that ring with. And just thank you guys so much, those two. Now we can get into it.
Before I mention, I just looked it up. This was Sergey's first fight in over 2 years too.
And it was a great fight. He looked like he didn't miss a beat. He was so good.
Yeah,
he was so good.
He was on Dominic Cruz stuff. Ring rust don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Cruz likes to say.
But now I gotta get into it. Mike Jackson versus Dean Barry. First fight of the preliminaries. I mean, Dean Barry, you don't excuse yourself. Excuse me, because you have to be in control of your weapons. 2 kicks to the lower section, and then the eye poke. You don't do yourself any favors. But Mike Jackson, bro, for you to be talking the most junk that you're talking while you got kicked in your butt, it doesn't. I don't know how else to say it, Austin. It don't feel right when you have a fighter got hurt, they got legitimately. He got kicked in an unpleasant area. It was, legitimately got kicked in an unpleasant area.
Right.
But you're talking the most trash possible while you got kicked in the junk. Both times. And then the eye poke, and you're talking junk still. And then you win the fight, which I don't know. A part of me wants them to run it back, but then a part of me is like, that was such a a disaster that I don't even, when you don't want to see a disaster be repeated.
Right.
It's like, I'm good.
Mike Jackson is the luckiest MF to be far in the UFC. I mean, this guy fought against Mickey Gall, and remember early on 2016, and the winner was supposed to fight CM Punk when he made his debut in the UFC.
Yes.
And Mickey Gall won that fight, and then his next fight, I believe, was against CM Punk in that UFC 225, and he wins that fight. But then, didn't he get in trouble because he got suspended for weed or something? I think that fight got returned or something. And then this guy's still in the UFC. I mean, what the heck? I mean, I'm trying. I don't think, did he win a fight before this? Besides the CM Punk fights. I mean, the fact this guy's still in the UFC and the UFC still has a contract with him. I mean, what are y'all doing? What the? I almost want to say it. What are y'all doing with this? Why is he part of the UFC? I know he's probably the opening. He's the opening prelim, but still, you're the #1 MMA organization in the world, and you got this guy here. I mean, seriously, I mean, this will go a bigger issue I have with the UFC than some of these guys that fight on these cards are guys that are not UFC quote caliber. I mean, it's supposed, but it's like, what the? Really, UFC? What are y'all doing?
It's not even that, man. It's somewhere along the way this guy showed he had the capability of doing more, and I think once you get to the UFC, guys get comfortable, man.
Yeah, but he was like what, an 0-0 fighter before he fought Mickey Gall. One, I forgot. This guy and his attitude. I mean, ugh. Get out of here.
Austin, guys get comfortable, bro. Guys get comfortable, bro. That's the only thing I can tell you.
But he was never he never was grinding or near greatness. He just got into UFC. It wasn't like he was working his way there. Not even that. To say that means he was working towards something, was proving, doing great, and then just got comfortable. That's not the case with him at all.
You don't know. You don't know to what levels. Like, all right. You ready? You ready for this? Okay.
All right.
Some guys, when because we have fans in here that love watching the NBA. Some guys, when they get to the NBA, it isn't enough for them to just be in the NBA. They got to get to that next contract. Some guys know, regardless of that next contract, as long as I get some achievements, then the next contract's gonna come. Some guys just know, hey, I gotta win rings and things. It's rings and things. Then whatever the money comes after that, it is what it is. They're gonna know my value. And some guys, like, they made it. They got drafted. That's it. Like, bro, I won. You beat the odds. And for some people, like, it's to what degree did you plan to stop or keep going? That's really it in what I'm saying. And maybe this guy decided it was worth it to stop at just getting the UFC contract.
Yeah, but those guys worked to get to the NBA. Those guys actually worked and weren't gifted an NBA opportunity. That'd be good at high school, be good at AAU ball before, I think be good at college, or in national ball, get drafted. This guy, it's not the case for him. Well, this guy was a good prospect in the amateurs or the regional scene, then got in the UFC by Mickey Gall. Not the case at all. They just got him and Mickey Gall, considering both guys were 1-0 or 0-0, and then the winner, and then they decided to keep him around, fighting CM Punk, who didn't belong to the UFC. He knows the fan was a wrestler, didn't belong to UFC. He's just been gifted gifts, and Dean Barry, I'm not saying he should be left off the hook, but
he shouldn't. But at the same time, here's my issue, right? Is that Mike Jackson did this and he's got a victory. Like, I remember talking to Jedi about this. Like, we had the discussion. Dean Barry looked like the better prospect.
Yeah, because I think he takes it. Yeah, exactly.
He looked like the way better prospect. Looked like the guy that just, his striking was so much better that I'm like, it's disappointing. It was just so disappointing. And it's like, you know what, man? I want to see more of Dean Barry. I feel like we're talking too much about this.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
it is what it is. Pitiful. Like, because this is a pitiful.
Any other want to talk about before we go to Bellator 279?
I just want to break this down real quick, just because I saw it, so I can't lie to you and say that I didn't see it. Actually, I spent the time to see it. Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. Tyson Fury wins that fight. I think was it in the
6th round?
Yeah, he knocked out Dillian Whyte in the 6th round. It was easy victory. Victory.
Yeah.
And Jedi is saying that Barry looked like one. Man, whatever. We'll get into it later. But yeah, easy victory for Tyson Fury. Dillian Whyte, to me personally, didn't provide much more of a challenge. His strikes were too wild. I
was paying attention. I saw his fights, and Dillian Whyte missed a lot of shots, like especially overhand rights. He missed badly, and I don't think he landed a punch to Tyson Fury's head. I mean, the body shots he landed, and it's easier considering Fury's 6'9". It's easy to hit his body. Excuse me. But yeah, he missed badly with headshots. I mean, Fury just dodging them, making it look easy. I don't think he lost a round. He just knocked him out with an uppercut out of nowhere. That it's like, oh, what? Just hit the uppercut, and then that was it. I mean, in front of Wembley too, 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium. I mean, that historic arena over there in England, and then what a performance for Fury. I mean, might be his best performance of his career. If you think about it.
Most dominant, not the best. You and I both know we consider domination and best to be two different things. In order for it to be, Yeah, no. In order for it to be
Yeah.
the best performance, I think the fighter across from you has to challenge you. That way he brings out something that we didn't see before. That way it goes, oh, we didn't see that from him before. It dragged him to a depth that we didn't see before, and things of that nature. Like, that's why it's, you tell me, which is a better performance from Israel Adesanya? Him versus Kelvin Gastelum or him versus Marvin Vettori the second time around?
Let's see. I'm gonna go. I'll go Calvin Gastelum, but the best Israel Adesanya performance will have to be the Paul Costa fight.
That was the most
Would've been.
dominant performance.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think it's the
like-
best. The Paulo was undefeated, came at him, he just made him look like a fool. It can be both
Paulo,
sometimes.
yeah.
I mean, I know Paulo's aren't down. We're all down on him, obviously, afterwards.
No,
I don't
that's
blame
not
you.
even it. No, that's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying as far as like if you, to me, like I think part of the best performance is like part of the best performances it's gotta be a back and forth. I think for me it's like the fighter has to drag out something to you to where it doesn't look so easy. The Paulo Costa fight with Israel Adesanya, it looked easy. And I know Paulo Costa, like he was a guy undefeated. His name was ringing bells, all that. But Izzy told us what he was gonna do, and then he did it. Not to, it's dominant, but I don't think it was his best performance. Like, I think best performance is something where like the other fighter, like I said, I think he brings something out of you. That way we find out about the guy. We find out about both guys. We learn something about both guys.
I mean, it can be at times. I mean, so in your opinion, you think Fury's best performance was the third Wilder fight when he got dropped twice but still knocked him out? Right, the first one.
There's a discussion for that. There's even his Klitschko fight. People are saying that could have been his best performance. There are fights where I think, here's the other thing about Tyson Fury too, man. No one's gonna provide him a challenge at this point in the heavyweight division. I don't think anyone has the skill set and has enough power to get through him at this point. So when he threatens to retire, it's because he's truly a mismatch for everyone. I think he's realized that the only way you get him back into the ring is with a fighter like Francis Ngannou, because it seems so foreign. An MMA fighter fighting a UFC fighter. It's in the fighting a boxer in the boxing ring. Like, how is this gonna go the same way as Conor versus Floyd? It could or it couldn't, because then again, these guys are heavyweights and it usually just takes one punch. But then Tyson Fury has a world of skill, but it's not like Francis Ngannou has no skill in the handset as well either. It's just that we've seen him be outclassed by fighters in striking, because we've seen diverse strikers against him, but I've never seen anyone just really piece him up on the hands like that. It's a rare occasion, especially after he was getting after he switched camps. We saw a different Francis Ngannou, so that's my only thing with Fury and bringing that up. That's what I wanted to say there.
I mean, credit to Tyson Fury. I mean, definitely. Like I said, I mean, I don't know if it's last boxing fight, but I mean, definitely entertaining. One more colorful characters in history of boxing. When you really think about it, Tyson Fury, those stories, personality, and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, thanks to I know what I know the term Dosa.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I mean, other things too, Fury. I mean, anyway, shout out to Tyson Fury. I mean, like I said, let's see, great career for his last fight. If it is your last fight, great career.
Great career, yeah. Lineal champ, retiring with some championships under your belt. You're not leaving the sport like last time where it was a bit of a, you having to get right, and you coming down from where you were and back up. Now you retire the right way. You retire on top. So congratulations to Tyson Fury and a great all in all great career.
Oh, okay.
Let's get right back into the MMA, bro.
Yeah, okay. We'll go about Bellator at two-day events in Hawaii, same in Hawaii as well. You had first night was Friday night, 278, 279, and it's also headlined by females as well in the women's featherweight division. As the women's featherweight titles online between Chris Cyborg and Aaron Blanco in the rematch. Cyborg had previously defeated Blanco 2 years ago via submission in the first round. It was Cyborg's first submission victory. Now this fight was completely different from the first fight, so as it was as it was a 5-round decision, 49-45. The reason why it's 49-45 instead of 50-45 is because in the first round, Cyborg took down Blanco. No, she dropped her, and then they got on the ground, and Blanco had her hands on the ground, and Cyborg was kneeing and accidentally kneed her head. And after Jason Herzog had warned Cyborg to not do that, I believe, and Herzog took a point away from Cyborg. But it didn't matter anyway. I mean, Cyborg was able to win this fight. But this fight was entertaining. It was an entertaining fight. I know it was 5 rounds she won, but it was a competitive 5 rounds to 0 type of fight. That makes sense.
Yes. Go ahead.
Because Blanco kept returning several shots at Cyborg, even though I believe both times Cyborg got knocked down. She was all balanced both times, but Blanco did land a punch that made Cyborg fall down despite her being all balanced. And Blanco came through, and the punches they each landed were even at the end of the fight. The punches they threw and landed were kind of even. Well, how Cyborg won the fight was kicking. She drew a lot more kicks and front kicks or leg kicks and body kicks than Blanco, and that's what really was the big difference in the fight, was the kicking ability of Cyborg.
Okay. Because I was about to say the CompuBox had a different story through the 5th round.
No,
I mean, they probably landed, punches. Punch to punch, they probably landed the same amount. But CompuBox had it that Cyborg landed about 52% of her shots through the 5th round versus Arlene Blanco landing 36, something around 38%.
Yeah, I think the 5th round she starts landing a little less than typically, but it was very competitive striking, and I didn't realize about Blanco that Blanco was a former was a boxing champion. She won 2 belts, WBA and IBF championship in boxing. I didn't realize she had like a steam boxing in her background, but Cyborg was just did drop her in the first round, just quicker to the punches and strikes in general, and it was a pretty entertaining fight. And Blanco showed her heart and was able to catch Cyborg several times in the fight. She challenged, usually Cyborg dominates women and finishes them, just beats them oblivion. She was pretty. It was a decided victory for Cyborg. It wasn't exactly a victory where Cyborg just destroyed somebody either. Blanco fought back, was able to do these very well against Cyborg, was able to catch her and hit her several times in this fight. And it was very competitive, back and forth, just a strike through the punches. Everything else, Cyborg definitely won. And what do you thought of this fight, Dan?
Like, I agree with you 100%. The difference maker for Cyborg, like you said, it was the diversity in striking, and really particularly the leg strikes. She was able to deliver the middle kick up the middle that if it didn't hit Arlene Blanco in the face, it struck her solar plexus plenty of times, kept pushing Arlene Blanco back. And then you have the high kick to the head, which it didn't land a whole bunch of times, but it landed enough that when she, kept throwing it on the arms, it made Arlene Blanco's arms a little tired. And so all in all, Cyborg, she was such a diverse fighter. It was diverse striking, and even went to the ground a couple of times. She was able to get, the fight was really hers to take on the ground with the ground and pound and things of that nature. Yep. She kind of went away from it in the end of the, after the 2nd round. she kind of went away from the grappling and things of that nature. We all asking, including Big John McCarthy and myself, we were all asking, why did she go away from the striking or go away from the ground game? The ground game was really going to help her out, but she was comfortable enough on her hands and feet. And it was to a point where Arlene Blanco tried to play with, she tried to fight Cyborg's ego, you know, tried to have her come in the middle of the ring and let's make it a brawl. And if it was a brawl, I think Arlene Blanco would have had her a chance to win, truly. But Cyborg was composed through clean strikes. It was clean striking all the way through. It wasn't like it wasn't something like I gotta liken this to, but like Nunes with the Pena fight, we saw it with Nunes. It wasn't disciplined striking. She didn't have disciplined striking, but with Cyborg, it was disciplined striking that fight. So, a great fight from Cyborg.
Very fantastic fight. Shout out to Blanco too for staying there and actually, you know, doing good against Cyborg and actually probably somewhat of a challenge and pushback, and definitely way better than the first fight for Blanco. You know, because definitely she apparently in the first fight her training camp was kind of off, was not exactly the greatest because of the COVID restrictions, and now she had a better training camp, and she showed in this fight. Definitely showcase that. With full training camp, she can definitely do a better job and good job with Cyborg, and she did. So shout out to her and Cyborg. Hopefully, I like to see her and Kat Zingano next, or her and Kayla Harrison. I mean, she mentioned Zingano, Kayla, or she even said Amanda, but that's not UFC doesn't do cross promotion, so that one I rule out. But Zingano, they're both in Bellator. That seems more likely, and even though Kayla Harrison, I would not rule out either in terms of that fight. I mean,
Kayla just re-signed with PFL, so.
But the thing is, if it talks, PFL was open to doing a cross promotion. That's what I heard.
But I've heard Scott Coker, he put it out there himself. He's like, hey, don't tag me on Twitter. Call me like a man. That's what he's putting out there. So
sound like Will Smith. The tone, the cadence, sound like Will Smith. At the
Let's not do that.
I know.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. But yeah, like the way. But yeah, I understand what he's talking about. If you're gonna do a call on the phone, don't just Twitter him and just try to get hyped and not be serious about the cross promotion. I understand where he's coming from, Scott Coker.
From right there, let's move on from this fight. I really want to get into this one.
Ooh, me too. I know you're talking about. In the co-main event, in the Bellator Bantamweight tournament, the first round, but also the interim championships on the line too, because unfortunately Sergio Perez is hurt now the tournament. So the winner of the tournament will get $1 million and the interim Bantamweight title as well. It was between Rafael Stotts and Juan Archuleta, as Rafael Stotts wins this fight via TKO with a knee and punches, 16 seconds in the third round. This fight, Juan Archuleta won the first 2 rounds. Juan Archuleta was out wrestling Stotts and even had good striking too, catching him several times in the striking department. There was a point in the first round where he picked up Stotts, and Stotts was like high in the air. Where Stotts went up high in the air, and just it looked like a cool visual. But Archuleta was doing very well. Grappling with him, wrestling him, which is surprising considering Stotts is a pretty good wrestler. Archuleta has a wrestling background, but he decided to wrestle with him, which Stotts even self-admitted that he was surprised by that, because guys usually don't try to do that, and he was kind of surprised. And like I said, Archuleta was able to catch him in the striking department several times. That third round came, and he hit him with a left high kick, and the kick didn't land in terms of the foot, but the knee caught Archuleta, and once that knee caught Archuleta, Archuleta was down. Archuleta basically was knocked down, basically done, and almost, he was wobbly, and then just Stotts hit him with the ground and pound, and that was it. An impressive victory for Rafael Stotts. Out of nowhere, crazy. You go ahead and speak on this fight, Dan. I know you want to speak on it.
I immediately texted Austin.
Yes, you did.
I told him, I said, this is a great fight. Archuleta was winning the first 2 rounds, and funny that Rafion Stotts wins this fight in similar fashion to way Sergio Pettis won his last fight against Kyoji Horiguchi, where Kyoji Horiguchi, he was dominating the first that fight ended in the 4th round, I believe.
Yes,
right?
4th round. Yes, you're
4th
right.
round, Kyoji Horiguchi's dominating all 3 rounds. 4th round, you come in, it's a spinning back fist. Out of nowhere, chicken leg dance. You guys know, if you're MMA fans, you know the chicken leg dance. We've all seen the chicken leg dance.
Yes.
Juan Archuleta hit that chicken leg dance due to the high knee. He goes down, and to me personally, I think the elbow from Rafion Stotts wakes him up. He's out cold. I think the minute he hits the ground, he's out cold. And Rafion Stotts comes out of nowhere. Boom! With the elbow. Ground and pound, right? And the elbow makes his head bounce off the canvas. Excuse me. And that's what wakes Juan Archuleta up. But other than that, man, this was Juan Archuleta's fight. Like, you ever hear that statement, it's someone's fight to lose?
Yeah.
It was his fight to lose, and not to say he did something wrong. He didn't. These are just 2 game-bred dogs, man. These are just 2 guys that are just, they're highly, like, there's a reason these guys are in the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
There is a reason. So, like, it's, when you have that going on, it's like, yo, that happened. It's like, yo, ish happens. I don't even want to bleep happens. You just got to move on with life. Like, Juan Archuleta just, like, it's one of those things where you, like, he can't watch the tape and go, you know what, from now on, I'm going to be on guard all the time from every high kick. No, that's just, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Like, you just move on. You got to.
The high kick didn't exactly land. It was at the knee of Stouts when he was throwing it. It's what connected. And Stouts is, kind of a taller guy, and compared to Archuleta, and that knee. Once that knee caught, it was game over. I mean, that knee is what did. It really could have been that knee is what did Archuleta, and Archuleta did a chicken dance, or Stouts said the stinky leg. And, and that was.
He did the stinky leg and hit the timber, and he's like, "Whoa, buddy!" And Stouts is so entertaining as a post-fight conference. He's so entertaining.
I agree. I like Stouts. I'm starting to become a big Rafion Stouts guy. He's entertaining as a press conferences, as a fighter. He's entertaining as his interviews and his comments. He's just a fun, entertaining guy. I would love to interview him. That'd be awesome if we ever got a chance to interview Rafion Stouts.
I'd love to, because he is such a high energy guy. It feels like his energy is infectious.
Yes, I agree. And Stouts moves on to the semifinals, and I mentioned Danny Sabatello earlier. If Sabatello beats Leandro Higo, it'll be Sabatello and it's Stouts in the semifinals, or if that happens, or if Higo wins, Higo and Stouts. So we know that Stouts is on the semifinals, and it's gonna take the winner of it's gonna take on the winner of Higo and Sabatello after the winner wins that fight June 24th. But great victory for Stouts, man. Great victory. And Juan Archuleta, he's still one of the top bantamweights in Bellator. He was doing very well until that 3rd round. Doing very well. That's why I said this tournament, anyone can win this tournament. That's why I was so excited about this tournament. And the guy in Juan Archuleta doing well, but he lost.
Yep.
In a pretty surprising way too. But shout out to Rafion Stouts, moving on to. He's the interim Bellator bantamweight champion, and he's in the semifinals. So good job for him.
Oh yeah, and I can't wait to see more of Rafion Stouts. Like you said, you're a fan, I'm a fan. We here for it.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, that guy is just
infectious. Yep. And we can move on to the next fight. The next fight was in the women's flyweight division between Justine Kish and Liam McFarland, who was a former women's flyweight champion in Bellator, and it's her first fight since losing the title back in December 2020. And it's her return fight in her hometown of Honolulu, Hawaii. She had a great entrance, very like Hawaiian, like entrance with all the. She had a very cool, unique entrance. Very showcasing her, the culture of Hawaii and things like that, etc. And this fight, Justine Kish wins this fight via unanimous decision, 29-28, 2 judges scorecards, and 30-27-1. Now, what are your thoughts on this fight, Dan? Did you agree with the 30-27 and 29-28?
I thought it was closer to a 29-28. Alimale McFarland, she was putting up a good fight. Justine Kish was really one step ahead, but it felt like there could have been more throughout the fight consistently. There were times where they were striking where it could have been, I think it felt like they could have maybe taken a little bit more gambles, getting into the pocket here and there. Maybe you go into the clinch some more, things of that nature. There are times where they were grappling, both of them, where it felt like neither of them were going for submissions here and there. It was just control time. It's a lot of control time, and I'm more so in agreement with 29-28.
I think, yeah, because I thought Lemo won that second round too. I thought it was clearly her round, and she dropped her. I know the third round she dropped her. I think the second round too. I know she rocked her a couple times. Just seeing McFarland rocked Kish a couple of times in the fight, but excuse me. But it seemed like Kish was just, I think she had more strength than Lemo. Like she was a little bit more stronger than her. It's at times, and especially in the grappling exchanges, they became more prevalent. And Kish was able to use, I guess, her strength and her strength to go out there and just control Lemo and also take her down as well. And Lemo went for submission at times, but she really didn't get any. And Kish was able to again control her, and she could have done more, like you said. Chef Dan Kish could have, and Lemo, but she was able to do enough to get the victory and spoil the hometown coming or return for Lemo McFarland. Considering that crowd was really into this fight, that crowd when she came out that crowd was electric. They were really into that fight the most for her when she came out. That fight and the Yancy Madero fight, considering he's from Hawaii too.
Yep.
We'll talk about that fight because that was a good fight as well. But yeah, Lemo McFarland. Surprised she lost because I thought she was gonna win this fight despite the layoff, but I was wrong. Kish did a good job. Was able to spoil the homecoming for Lemo.
I think, like you said, Justine Kish really spoiled the homecoming, and Justine Kish, I think she was just coming off of a 3-fight losing streak. She wanted to get that win back. She wanted to get it like by any means necessary. So and it's perfect that you put the pressure on her of having a hometown fighter be her opponent. So both of them have a little bit of extra incentive to put on the best performance. And it was a good performance by Justine Kish. Something to just get her off the 3-fight losing streak, but it's more work to be done. You and I both know it's more work to be done.
Yep, I agree. More work to be done, and because of this fight, it basically guarantees a rematch between Liz and Julia Vasquez for the flyweight title. Considering the only other girl who could throw her name in there just lost, because she was #1 ranked fighter coming to this fight, Lemo McFarland. So yeah, I guess we can move on to the other bantamweight title, the bantamweight tournament fight in this card in the first round between Kyoji Horiguchi and Patchy Mix. And Patchy Mix wins this fight via unanimous decision, 48-47, all three judges' scorecards. I totally agree with the decision, and this was a very a fight between grappler versus striker type of fight. Horiguchi is not a bad grappler himself, but Mix is very good grappling. High level jiu-jitsu, high level grappling, and Mix won the rounds 1, 3, and 5 because he was able to get the fight to the ground and control Horiguchi. In that first round, he had several submission attempts. Even the third round on Horiguchi, and several submission attempts on him, where Horiguchi was really working just to get prevent himself from getting submitted, to make it tough for him to get up in the fight. But give Horiguchi credit for not getting submitted, for getting out of those dangerous positions and staying active. And then in the second and fourth round, when Mix couldn't take Horiguchi down, Horiguchi was able to get in and out with strikes, with speed, get in and out, land a couple of shots, get out, land some body shots, get out, land some leg kicks, because Mix left his leg open to be leg kicks for a while, and Horiguchi in the second round particularly threw several leg kicks, mix. And that's how Horiguchi won round 2 and 4, was basically getting out of strikes, getting out, preventing Mix from grabbing a hold of him, or even when Mix got a hold of him, he was able to get out of the clinch and get away from Mix and able to throw some strikes and land on Mix. And Mix was fought more patiently than he did against Juan Archuleta, because in a title fight, which was also 5 rounds, Mix won the first 2 rounds, but then he got frustrated because he couldn't submit on Juan Archuleta, despite having trouble in the first 2 rounds, and fought Juan Archuleta's fights of trying to stand and trade shots, and also he got so frustrated, he lost focus, and Archuleta was able to use that to win round 3, 4, and 5 in their title fights. But Mix didn't do that this time. Mix basically went out there and was more patient and more calm, and was able to get the takedowns we need to, and get the grappling exchanges. And he was able to beat Horiguchi and advance in the Bantamweight finals of this tournament. And Horiguchi, another guy that a lot of people thought could win a tournament, especially after his recent performances, is out in the first round. That just shows you how talented this Bantamweight tournament is, where anyone can win, in my opinion. And what you thought of the fight, Dan?
I never expected to see Horiguchi in the way that it was, because Patchy Mix, it takes 2 to tango. And as dominant as Patchy Mix was on the ground, part of him showing that dominance is if you have a guy who can't really defend himself against ground attacks. And the only issue I could come out of this fight was, I knew Patchy Mix deserved to win that fight. But then you're watching it from a stance of Kyoji Horiguchi, and you ask yourself, why did you keep giving up the back? You just kept giving up the back, and you had no way of fighting the hands and the body triangle. You didn't have any defense for the takedown.
Yeah.
Just didn't.
The only thing I think of with that is maybe that was his only way of getting up. But even then, that's still against a great grappler and Patchy Mix. You don't want to do that either. That's the only reason I could think of why he kept giving up his back. That's the only thing I could think of. But still, it's not exactly the best idea, like you mentioned, Dan.
It's not. It's not, and it was just you saw it, man. It felt like, if anything, Patchy Mix decided for rounds 2 and round 4, I'm not gonna it was a smart tactic. I'm not gonna chase Kyoji Horiguchi. If I chase him, I play his game. I'm just gonna back up. He's comfortable darting in and out of range. I'm gonna find out when he's comfortable, darting in and in and in. And as I keep backing up, he's not gonna have complete control of range, because we're gonna keep moving. I'm gonna keep moving. And when he doesn't see it, I'm gonna shoot. And whenever he shot, he got all the takedowns he wanted. So it was just a dominant performance for Patchy Mix. Rounds 1, 3, and 5, it was completely dominant, and it almost felt like to a point where he let Kyoji Horiguchi take rounds 2 and 4 in order to truly cement the fact that he could take round 5. Because just when it felt like there was a chance for Kyoji Horiguchi darting in and out to get to round 5, I think there was a swing. There was a momentum swinger around round 5 where both of those guys looked very tired, and out of nowhere, Patchy Mix takes him down, and that's it. I said from there, he's got the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. You're right about the 5th round. I think about that. That's a good point there. But great victory for Patchy Mix, beat the former Bellator bantamweight champion Kyoji Horiguchi, the biggest victory of his career, as he moves on to the semifinals to fight the winner of Magomedov and not Sabatello. Let me forget. Enrique Barzola. There we go. Enrique Barzola. The winner of that fight, or wins that fight June 24th. But great victory for Patchy Mix. Definitely biggest fight of his career. Wins it and moves on to the semifinals of the Bellator bantamweight tournament. As we can go on to the first fight in the main card, which was in the lightweight division between Hawaii's own Yancy Medeiros and Manuel Sanchez. And hang on, sorry. I did not know Yancy Medeiros left the UFC. I was shocked, last week when I found out he was on Bellator in his card. I was like, because I assumed he was in the UFC because he'd been in UFC for so long that this threw me off. I was like, wait, he's in Bellator? He's on his card? Right? Weren't you surprised? Also, were you surprised also?
I was a bit surprised, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I couldn't pay attention to this because at the same time that this fight was going on, the UFC main card was going on. So I couldn't. I had to pick one or the other.
Oh no, I understand. No, and this fight was very entertaining. This was a very good fight, back and forth. Yancy Maduro had moments where he was outstriking Sanchez. Sanchez had moments where he caught Maduro. Yancy Maduro. And I'm trying to remember, was there grappling involved in this fight? I think there was some grappling, if I'm mistaken. I think Sanchez tried for it, but didn't work. I believe so. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And this was, but either way, great entertaining fight, back and forth. Yancy Maduro was, especially that Yancy Maduro did enough to win this fight, and that third round was very exciting. Where I think Yancy or Emmanuel Sanchez did like the Max Holloway, maybe the center in the octagon with straight shots towards the end. And I say Max Holloway because you remember Max Holloway when we fought Ricardo Lamas back in June 2016, UFC 199. He did the same exact thing, and they traded shots at the end. And I find it ironic. It was Maduro who did it. And I find it ironic that another Hawaiian fighter does the same exact thing towards the end of the third round of a fight.
It just goes to the strong point you were making earlier, because this card was such a great card, that like the 2-day event for an MMA program to host a 2-day event. Do you know how many fighters they had to have on the payroll? How many guys they had to pay consistently? But you keep them there because Hawaii is such a beautiful place, and the crowd was so invested. It's like you said all the time, Austin. UFC is doing a disservice by not having a card in Hawaii.
Yeah, I totally agree. They are doing a disservice not having a card in Hawaii. The UFC. I mean, Bellator is able to do 3 shows here in the history. I hope UFC can do it. I want to see UFC do it, especially for Max Holloway, considering Holloway's been called it for a while, and they had a decent amount of Hawaiian fighters on the roster. Excuse me, sorry about that, but they had they did have several UFC fighters on the roster who were from Hawaii, and Max Holloway was a long-term champion and one of the biggest names they got. I thought it'd be fair to go Hawaii just for him, and hopefully at this event that the UFC does go Hawaii for down the road and have Max Holloway main event card there. But yeah, the Hawaiian crowds were into this. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it doesn't make sense to not have that, because from my perspective, you saw what they did with the Brits when they invaded. They did such a good job, and they were such a they drew such a crowd in the United States that they said, you know what? If you guys draw such a crowd here, I'm gonna give you guys a chance to see what you guys do in your own hometown. And they did that. And Max Holloway, to me, he has been a consistent main eventer in the United States, and that guy draws crowds. So I don't see how you don't have Max Holloway headline a UFC Hawaii card.
Exactly.
It's the same way. It's the same way. I like right now. The UFC has a chance to not mess this up within this year or the next year, to have at least 2 of the 3 African champions headline a card in Africa.
I don't know about the Africa thing. That would be tougher considering the restrictions, and who knows how it is in Africa. I think Hawaii a little bit easier, in my opinion. Well, though it'd be cool if they go Africa, but I think it might be a little bit tougher. Yeah, but Max Holloway's definitely been a main eventer who's definitely sold out arenas here in the mainland United States and in Canada too, in Toronto a couple of times, and in Edmonton. So he's definitely a main event guy. He's drawn crowds in different countries, America and Canada. So definitely like to see a UFC show in Hawaii one day. But yeah, great victory for Yancy Maduro. It's a great victory, thought right decision, and the crowd was really into this fight, obviously, considering Yancy's from Hawaii, and they were really into this fight, and the crowd energy was pretty damn good. It definitely deserved that. I'm glad, because this was a very good fight, and shout out to Yancy Maduro's getting the victory, ending a 3-fight losing streak, I believe. And this was the main card of the Bellator show. And I do want to shout out Goiti Yamauchi in the prelims. He got a armbar submission in the first round. It looked so easy, Yamauchi. Yeah, that was his 21st submission victory of his career, and the way he got it just looked too easy. Yamauchi, the way he did it in the prelims, just just took him down once it was on the ground, which is a matter of time before he got submission. Once he did, game over. That's it. Yamauchi wins. And Yamauchi wins again, stays relevant in the top 10 of that welterweight division. And this was a good victory for him. You see any prelim fights in this card or no?
I did not get to, as the UFC main card was going on, and also because I want to help out the notorious G Money on the BX Sports Jedi Network. I had to keep up with the playoffs as well. So the preliminaries for this one, I couldn't catch it, and I'm upset because, like I said, especially after Dante Skiro put up the show that he put up the night prior, I wanted to pay attention. But when you're watching 3-4 programs, you kind of had to, pick what you could pay attention to. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, unfortunately, that was the only prelim fight I saw with Goichi Yamauchi against Levin Choka Kelly in this fight. And Yamauchi got another great victory, submission victory.
You know how upsetting this is for me? I told you I wanted to see Bobby King before. And Bobby King was on this preliminary.
Yeah, I got a split decision victory against Keon Diggs. 29-28, 30-27, 28-29 judges scorecards. One judge gave it to Diggs.
I mean, but it's okay that we did miss it. I missed it. It's okay that I did miss it because I will have the chance. It's on YouTube for free.
Yes.
Free.
I guess that wraps up our Bellator 279 coverage. I mean, great card. Main card was very entertaining. I was entertained by it. Crowd, the fights, everything was a good show. Good night for Bellator. Very good night and good weekend overall.
It was just a good night for MMA overall. I think we really enjoyed it, and it just, especially where you had the heavyweight boxing match happen, and it felt like that was not the talk of the weekend. You had playoffs and you had MMA to talk about.
Yeah.
So when you could beat the heavyweights of boxing, which has always been a good show, that lets you know that MMA had a good, very, very good weekend. And salute to the ladies for giving us a great show. It's been rare that the women have headlined 3 back-to-back cards like this, but they did it and put on a great show. Salute. Yeah. Thank you so much, ladies.
Yeah, they did. Despite the controversy in the flyweight title fight, still it was a pretty good fight leading up to that point. And salute to the ladies for entertaining us in the main events of these cards. As now we look forward to this weekend, this Saturday, April 30th, UFC Apex in Las Vegas. This Saturday, the main event between Rob Font and Marlon Chito Vera in the UFC's bantamweight division. Big fight, very big fight in the bantamweight division. Considering, I think Rob Font, I believe, is ranked number 5. Yeah, number 5. Chito Vera ranked number 8. Rob Font's coming off the loss to Jose Aldo in his last fight back in December, and Chito Vera's coming off victory over Frankie Edgar and Madison Square Garden back in November. We hit him with a front kick that knocked him out. And I'm looking forward to this fight. This is going to be two good strikers going against each other, but also guys who could do more. Chito Vera's won by 8 times by submission too, so very well rounded and a pretty good finisher. Chito Vera. But Rob Font, no joke. We know how good Rob Font's boxing is. We've seen it before. We know that Rob Font's not easiest guy to take down. But what are your thoughts on this fight, Dan?
Whole lot of striking. Striking. Whole lot of striking. Technical striking too. Might be a KO because of that. Because these guys are such technical strikers, and I think this is going to be a lovely fight. We will not be disappointed by this one. I think I might be calling this one a little too prematurely now, but excuse me, I don't think we're going to be disappointed by this one. I'm excited for this.
So am I. I'm very excited for this fight. This fight between Chito Vera and Rob Font. Ever since I listened to that Joe Rogan podcast with Chito Vera after he beat Frank Yeager. It was several months ago. I've really become a Chito fan. Really like Chito because he came across very well in that podcast. If you're listening to that Joe Rogan episode with Chito Vera,
I didn't listen to it, but I plan to.
It was a really good episode. I mean, his story from Ecuador. I got UFC, MMA, UFC struggles, and just personality. It's really. I was surprisingly more entertained by it than I thought I was going to be. Maybe become a Chito Vera fan after listening to that. But definitely, yeah, definitely it was a great episode. But yeah, definitely root for Chito Vera. Although I wouldn't be mad at Rob Font one because I have nothing against Rob Font. Rob Font's a very good fighter. Like I said, good boxing. Came out of that gym, New England Cartel with Calvin Cater, and there's some other guys in that camp as well. So you know how good he is. He's training with Calvin Cater and guys like that. And we see, he's very, very good striking. Well, I mean, I do wonder how much. I mean, he's got some power, but his recent victories have not been knockouts, with the exception of Mar Moraes. Because the Cody Garbrandt fights, Cody doesn't have the greatest chin in the world, yet he didn't finish Cody, which is kind of surprising. It makes you wonder, like, does Chito Vera get a little confident in that and just not exactly leave himself open to take hits, but not be worried about taking a hit from Rob Font.
That is a possibility right there. You're absolutely right about that. Not only that, but I know. I wish I could say that's something for Chito Vera to worry about, but he can't because Rob Font is coming off that loss against Jose Aldo, and we see that the division is starting to really, like, now that you have the cobwebs out between Aljamain and Peter Yan, the division is starting to bring itself back up into name. But then you have Henry Cejudo bringing his name right back into the mix. Like this, as soon as one mess clears up, another mess presents itself. So within this division, I don't think any of these guys need to worry about who brings what power anywhere. I need a finish. I need it decisively. I need to call out my next opponent. I need to stay within the high ranking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I get what you mean. I said it a couple weeks ago after UFC 273. I think the winner of this fight should probably fight Peter Yan next. I think it makes sense, especially if a dominant victory called Peter Yan. And, I think that'd be perfect number one contender fight. For the winner of that fight, could probably fight the winner of Aljamain and TJ Dillashaw. I know Cejudo's throwing his name out there, but I think it's Dillashaw next. So until I see news about Cejudo, I mean, what do you think of that?
Yeah, absolutely right, because Aljamain did call out Dillashaw next, so Dillashaw is next. But if Dillashaw isn't ready, for me personally, I don't see a reason why Aldo isn't on the his name isn't up there as well. He's number 3. He's ranked number 3 in the division right now. Like he's ranked number 3 in the division. I don't know what else to say about what Jose Aldo is doing. It's been a very impressive work. I don't want to sleep on Jose Aldo and what he's doing. So I think if these two guys, if certain things don't work themselves out and, Dillashaw doesn't come up and it's Aldo fighting, then whoever, wins out of this fight, I'm calling out Dillashaw next. I'm calling out Aldo next. I'm calling out whichever name gets me closest to the championship. But I can't skip over Jose Aldo because that's who Rob Font just last lost to.
That's true, but I was just saying Peter Yan just come off the title loss, and Yan's still ranked number 1. And plus, I heard there was rumors that it was supposed to be Aldo. UFC was trying to do Aldo and Cruz next, which is a fight I want to see. I think a lot of people want to see two legends who are still winning fights go at each other. But I understand if you want to do Aldo Aljamain next, if Dillashaw can't go, or if you're Chito Vera, you want the rematch with Jose Aldo, because if you remember, Jose Aldo beat Chito Vera in 2 years ago. You could call that rematch, but if you're Aldo, you might say, "Nah, I already beat you already." Not that long ago. And then that's why I think Yan makes better sense, because Aldo is right there. I mean, he could possibly get the top 5. Dillashaw's not ready.
I mean, the way I see it is like a fight with Cruz doesn't help Aldo to what he wants.
I think so. I disagree. I think he still gets this title fight, being a former champion in that weight class, who's a legend himself, 2-5 win streak. I think that does help him.
My whole thing is like when looking at the division, Cruz is 7, Aldo is 3. Once again, Aldo, for him to go from calling out TJ Dillashaw and trying to get close to the Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan to then falling to number 7, while these two other guys are making a name for themselves in Font and Chito Vera, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it still helps considering it's Dominic Cruz, and it's like I said, to let the name and the former champion. I think it does help, but I mean, but like I said, if Font and Yan, Font and Vera, the winner of that fight, I think should call PR Yan next. I think that's a.
I don't disagree with you there. Like that should definitely be a priority, because I'm not even. Between Font and Aldo versus Yan, that's going to be an interesting fight.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that fight. I mean, that's going to be. I think I can see a golden decision, back and forth fight, or close fight, or competitive fight, or I can see a finish. I mean, especially the striking, both guys. I mean, especially if Vera wins, I can definitely see a Vera win by stoppage, personally.
Most definitely. But I mean, we could also look at the next fight on the main card, the co-main event. This is 3 rounds, 5 minutes in the heavyweight division. This man is right back at it. Andrei Arlovski faces Jake Collier. Andrei Arlovski is still going, brother. He is.
Yeah, he loves fighting. He doesn't no stop. I mean, guy's been fighting since 1999. I think he's been fighting. I mean, there's been several times with this guy where he thought his career was over. He's like a zombie. He like rises up from the dead. Like he just doesn't die. I mean, his career just doesn't die. Every time you think, oh, it's over, he goes on some win streak or wins like 4 or 5 to remind people, no, I'm still active. No, I'm still good. I can still compete. It's pretty remarkable for Arlovski, and he's coming back, and he's beating up these younger guys too. He's still beating these guys up, and he's going against Jake Collier. He's come out with a submission victory over Chase Sherman in his last fights, and I know he beat Chase Sherman, but I think Arlovski's gonna beat up Jake Collier. I don't think Collier is a true heavyweight. I don't think it's the best weight for him, and I think Arlovski is a better fight at this point than even Chase Sherman is, and I wouldn't be surprised if Arlovski pieces him up and maybe finishes in the second round. That's just me.
It's funny you said that. I think Arlovski wins this fight, but I think he wins it via decision. I think the gas tank, I've seen it lately, the last couple of fights for Andrei Arlovski, the gas tank hasn't been holding up the way most people would love it to. So I don't know if that's if he gets gas. I know he's smart enough. He's smart enough that he could get it to decision. But if he gets gas too early, then it'll suck for him. It's all about the fight, the training camp. Does he get the training camp right for this fight? And if he does, then he should have enough of a gas tank that he beats Jake Collier.
I didn't think about that. But that's a good point about his gas tank, about how that can affect him in this fight. But I personally think, I mean, you're right. That's a good point. If he has a gas tank, I think he definitely beats Jake Collier. Personally, that's just me. I mean, I don't think Collier is a true heavyweight or really a guy who can really do something in the heavyweight division. That's just me. I could be wrong. But I know he's got with Victor or Chase Sherman, but I think Arlovski at this point is a better fighter than Chase Sherman. Not at this point in his career, not just historically. Obviously, Arlovski was a former heavyweight champion at one point in UFC, but just currently right now.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah, absolutely right. But we're both in agreement here. We both think that Arlovski is going to come away with the victory. So we can move on from that fight to the next fight on the main card in the featherweight division. Joanderson Brito versus Andre Touchy-Feely. Austin, man, tell me how you see this fight going.
I don't know much about Joanderson Brito. I'm looking at his Sherdog, his Sherdog record, and his last fight was the Calvin Kattar and Giga Chikazian card on January, where he lost via unanimous decision to Bill Algeo. Before that, he was on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 7. Oh, why is Sherdog messing me up?
It's like an 8 or 9 fight winning streak.
Yes, exactly. 8-9 fight winning streak for Brito, as he's got 5 submissions and 5 TKO KOs. So 10 of his 12 victories are by finishes. So it lets you know he does have a high finishing rates in his victories.
Yeah, but he's got to. I think the resume has to start to equate to the show, because Andre Touchy-Feely is no slouch, man.
You're right.
He's no slouch at all. And I'm looking at the resume that Joe Anderson Brito has. I only see the Bill Algeo fight on the UFC, meaning we haven't seen a lot of him.
No.
Yeah, Andre Touchy-Feely, the last fight he lost was to Bryce Mitchell. We know what Bryce Mitchell coming up is it has been so far. Bryce Mitchell is a stud. That guy is gonna be something in the division. He is gonna be a name to Thug Nasty's just gonna be a name in the division. But we even see Andre got a victory over Charles Jourdain prior to that. So this guy, he's good. Andre is good, man. This is gonna be a very interesting fight. 2 strikers, it seems.
Yeah, you're right. 2 strikers. His last fight was a no contest against Daniel Paeta, which was accidental eye poke. I don't remember if he got eye poked or Paeta got eye poked. I don't remember. Well, yeah, I think it's 2 strikes for Feely. So Feely hasn't won a fight in 2 years, almost 2 years. So I'm pretty sure he wants to get that victory for Andre Feely. And that's that. Both strikers, it seems like. So it's gonna be a lot of striking in this fight. Or it's interesting to see who's the better striker of the 2, and see who can implement their game plan better. But yeah, Andre Feely, no joke. He's a good fighter. Definitely not tough guy. Definitely a guy who's been around, who's beaten some good names, but also he's fought a lot of good fighters, beaten some of them, lost some of them, but definitely a tough fighter, a very good fighter.
Most definitely. But that's gonna be an interesting fight. We're gonna be tuned in to see. We could move on to the next fight on the card. It's in the lightweight division. Jared Gordon versus Grant Dawson. I feel like Jared Gordon, I've seen him fight before, but Grant Dawson, I don't remember.
It's weird. Grant Dawson, the name is familiar.
We definitely see Jared Gordon fight before. That's Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon, yeah.
Okay. And Grant Dawson, I know Jared Gordon is a striker. He's a very good striker. He can mix in some grappling here and there, but all in all, he's a striker. So that's what it's gonna be. But then you have Grant Dawson. He's had some fight night victories. Yeah, he's on a 7-fight winning streak right now.
Yeah, but his last fight was a draw. I was gonna say 17-1-1. His last fight was a draw.
Yeah. Against Ricky Glenn last year. And then after that, he had another draw in a UFC Fight Pass Invitational. So he's coming off of 2 draws right now. Yeah, you're right. Both of these guys need a victory.
Wait. He said 2 draws, Dawson, or?
Yeah, Dawson. Yeah, he fought in the what's the Submission Underground or Fight Pass Invitational. So it was a grappling matchup.
Oh, it's grappling matchup. Okay, never mind. Oh, it's grappling. That's on MMA. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it seems like both of these guys are strikers.
Well,
if anything, though, Grant Dawson, it seems like he can take it to the ground.
Yeah, he's got 11 submissions, so he can take it to the ground, submit you there as well. So that's something to watch out for if it goes to the ground. If Grant can take it to the ground, see how much advantage Grant has versus Jared Gordon in the ground game.
Yeah, we shall see. We definitely shall see. So we can move on from that fight, go on to this next fight. Darren Elkins versus Tristan Conley in the featherweight division. Darren Elkins, I believe he's coming off of a loss. Is that right? Yes. To Cub Swanson. I remember that.
Yeah.
Woo!
was a great knockout for Cub. Very good. It was a head kick, if I'm mistaken.
You absolutely right about that one. Versus Tristan Conley. When was the last time he fought?
April of last year, he lost to Pat Sabatini.
Pat Sabatini. Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, that's good.
I can't fault him for that. So I mean,
Tristan's fought over a year.
Both of these guys, fought in over a year. Tristan Conley, he seems to be a submission type of guy. He has 9 victories via submission, 4 via KO/TKO. So he's the guy that's willing to get it on the ground.
Yeah. And Darren Elkins, we know how tough he is. I mean, his nickname is the Damage. He even has a tattoo on his chest. The guy is known taking damage and still winning fights, or not being finished at times. I mean, he's a tough dude. I mean, his last fight he got knocked out by Cub Swanson. But Cub, we all know how good a striker Cub is. But yeah, I mean, I do wonder if Elkins, if Elkins' chin has kind of lost a little bit of toughness considering a knockout by Cub. I mean, I don't think so, but it's possible. I do want to see how, I do want to see how does Tristan look after a year off of fighting. Go against a guy Elkins, who Elkins has beaten some good names. He's very tough. Not the easiest guy to put out typically, so I do want to see how that goes. If it's gonna be a bad comeback fight for Tristan.
Seems like a lot of guys in this card is coming back off of a layoff. But we definitely shall see this Saturday if Darren Elkins has the chin to stand up an attack from Tristan Conley. Because if there's one thing we know about these grapplers, they're gonna throw some strikes in front of you to get you down, and if they can wobble you to get to grappling, that's even better for them. Next fight on the main card is the first fight on the main card in the middleweight division. Gerald GM3 Mearshart versus Krzysztof Jotko.
Mearshart has done well considering that loss to Hamza. He got knocked down 17 seconds. Since that loss, he's won 3 in a row. He looks really good in all 3 fights, so he's coming up with some momentum against Krzysztof Jotko.
And Jotko, he's coming off of a victory against Misha Serkinov. I remember that fight. It's a split decision against Misha Serkinov, but prior to that, he did have a loss against Sean Strickland, who is rising up in the middleweight division. So it's no fault of his own. He just ran into a buzzsaw in Sean Strickland. This is going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
I mean,
I think this fight is going to... Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Gerald might win this fight personally. I like him in this fight. I think Jotko, I've seen him fight. He's a good fighter, but he does a lot of things well. It's not like one particular thing he does very well, in my opinion. Well, I think Mearshart, he's got a lot of submissions on his belt. I feel like this fight goes to the ground. It's a favor of Mearshart, just me personally.
I agree with you. 100%. I think Mearshart is... I think the one thing he's going to do better than what Krzysztof Jotko can do is bring a pressure to the ring. He's going to bring a pressure to the ring. He's going to, stand in his face consistently, slide side to side with him. And then from there, he's going to be comfortable because he's going to get into range.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Oh, man. I'm sorry I'm laughing because you were talking about this guy, and here he is on the preliminaries. First fight in the preliminaries, Chase Sherman versus Alexander Romanov.
It was 15-0, by the way. Romanov is a heavyweight prospect from Moldova. His nickname is King Kong, which is a cool nickname to have for a heavyweight, King Kong. That's a cool nickname. If you're only a heavyweight should have that nickname, King Kong, in my opinion.
Yep.
That's me.
Not unless you're there's one other weight class that I feel should have that name.
Oh, what? Lightweight?
Nah, featherweight.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta have someone in featherweight that's has a name like King Kong, and they're like, Why is he King Kong? Boom! He hits someone, knocks him out, and they go, "Oh, okay, yeah."
I guess. All right.
I mean, because that's look, a nickname like that would either work one of two ways: with a big guy who just fills out the nickname, or a small guy who you think, yo, that nickname does not belong to him, until one day he shows you why that nickname belongs to him, and you go, you know what? He can call whatever you want to call, whatever you want to name yourself. I'll call you that, sir. You got it.
Okay, I guess. But yeah, Romanov, 14 of his 15 victories are by finishes, which were 8 submissions and 6 knockout TKOs. He's coming out of the second round on TKO victory over Jared Vera back in October 2021. Back in October, basically. So 6 months, since his last fight. That he's won 2 fights in the UFC. No, 4 fights in the UFC. And victory over Chase Sherman, he might be near rankings after this. Especially if he finishes 16-0. Against a guy in Chase Sherman who UFC fans are familiar with, which I think Romanov's going to win this fight. Just as me against Chase Sherman.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. Chase Sherman, it kind of feels like a setup to introduce some new blood into the heavyweight division. I'm not upset at it. Dana's got to do what he's got to do. And Chase Sherman right now, I can't lie, it seems like he's being served on a platter to this guy. So
it does. I mean, he's lost 3 in a row for him. So I mean, he hasn't been exactly doing well recently. Chase Sherman, I think, going against someone Romanov, who's 15-0, who's got 14 out of 15 victories or by finish. I mean, sounds like a setup for Romanov to win.
Yeah, I agree with you. But all in all, I see some pretty interesting fights on the preliminaries. That fight included. There's also Figueiredo's younger brother, Francisco Figueiredo. He's facing up against Daniel da Silva. So that should be an interesting fight there.
I forget Davidson Figueiredo has a brother that's also a UFC fighter. I always forget that.
I believe he's coming off of a loss, yes, to Malcolm Gordon. Unanimous decision. He had a chance to kind of get that fight in his way, but he just really didn't take advantage of it. It seems like he has a chance to I don't want to say follow in his brother's footsteps, but he definitely has a chance to be a very good fighter. He has the power, he has some technique to him, he just hasn't put it together yet. So I'm interested to see what Francisco Figueiredo does in this fight.
Okay, that's interesting to see how the brother of the flyweight champion does. I mean, he fights in the same weight class as his brother too, which is pretty ironic, but yeah. Anything else?
Nah, is there any fight that you wanted to shout out?
No, that's about it for now. I think I don't see anything else I want to shout out.
No, that's it. So then, last fight I want to bring to everyone's attention. This should be happening on Saturday. Saturday, 9 p.m. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. This should be for an undisputed lightweight championship in the female lightweight division. Amanda Serrano, well on her way to gathering as much titles as she can, being a dominant force in the boxing world. And Serrano, she's just been a pleasure to see, a sight to see, as far as like the way she's very dominant in her fights. She's very dominant. Last fight she had, her opponent was able to bring something to the fight as well. She got rocked a little here and there. She was fatigued a little here and there, but all in all, she still had control of the fight. We haven't met a fighter yet that has been able to put Amanda Serrano in a place where she can't control the fight yet. So that's going to be a very interesting boxing match right there between Serrano and Katie Taylor. I can't wait to see that one. That's 9 p.m. on the Zone.
Oh, that's the message we're going, right?
Yep.
Okay, so big fight. I mean, big fight, especially it's unification bout. You said, right?
Yep.
All right, so it's a big fight, and 9 p.m. to Zone. And I want to mention the UFC show, Font Vera main card starts at 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus.
So that means the preliminaries will start around like 4:35.
Yes, 4:30. Yep.
Yep. All right. So guys, check, ladies and gentlemen, please check out those preliminaries. Please just check them out. That's where the stars are born. You're gonna trust me, you're gonna buy low on some fighter stock, and by the time that guy gets really, really hot and he's a champion, you're gonna be one of those obnoxious MMA fans talking about, I knew it, I seen him before you did. That's really what it is. That's what we do when we watch the preliminaries. We have fun doing that.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. It's like, yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Dan. Well, thank you guys for watching, listening to us while you're watching us on YouTube live or afterwards when the show's over. Shout out to everyone in the chat who commented on the chat, whether it be from Maria on Facebook, Jose Molino, Calvin, excuse me, Andre. I believe Andre was here in the chat. Yes,
yeah,
Andre
most
was
definitely. Here. Andre was here. Big task at hand. Kelvin T. Jones. Yeah, the Jedi was in here as well. Some people are kind of relevant, just rejoicing in the fact that the Brooklyn Nets have been swept out of the NBA playoffs. They lost 0-4. They didn't win a game against the Boston Celtics, so that's what a lot of the contingency was here for. Jose Melos, thank you so much for being here. Salute to you. It has definitely been a while since I saw you. Thank you guys so much. And like we said, when you join us, just join us on the YouTube platform. If you have a question, type in a question. We'll be sure to answer it and have a discussion with you guys after we've broken down all the cards, because it's a lot of MMA to break down. It really is. But thank you guys once again so much for joining us.
Yep, definitely. Yep. Please go and smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification so you know when we're doing a video or when the BX Sports Jedi Network's doing another video. Thank you guys for listening, tuning to us, and thank you guys for listening to us on audio podcast platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Reason FM, etc. Thank you guys for checking us out. And if you want to say before we head off?
No, just once again, please check us out on all podcast platforms, and you can also join us on YouTube. We're there on YouTube. We want you guys to talk to us, ask us any question at the end of the show. We're more than willing to answer it because we watch so much MMA. It would be foolish of us to not have learned something and answer one of your questions at this point. So once again, thank you guys so much for supporting us. And peace out.
Peace. Have a good night, guys. See you guys next week. Look forward to breaking down this upcoming card and then previewing the pay-per-view. That's up 2 weeks from that. That's up next Saturday. Excuse me. I'm Austin. Stepped in, and have a good night. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are